Tulis.
The Register of Deeds in Hamilton County is an old office. It's in the Tennessee Code, annotated in one of the titles, Title 8. And the duties of the register is to make book, to keep book, to have a record of deeds. Now, deeds are things that happen, right? When you make your coffee this morning or have had a great lunch and you're on your way back to the office, that is a deed. Every step of your life, whether delightful or maybe not so, is a deed. But not all deeds deserve to be recorded, are worthy of the attention of the new Register of Hamilton County, and that is Marc Gravitt, a former state legislator and a man who is in an office overseeing deputy registers who keep track of bequeathals, contracts, certain kinds of liens, and also the transfers of property, personalty, and real estate. They are women, mostly women. I think I saw one man answer the phone when I called this morning to ask about Marc Gravitt's schedule. And so the men and women there are involved in keeping track of these doings in the county in a well-bound book. And the main book is divided in 6 columns from grantors, grantees, county, number of acres, and fees received. That is the main duty. Of course, is real estate. There are many hundreds of real estate transactions every year. That's the biggest business. But there's also in Marc Gravitt's quiver of arrows of things to shoot, you might say, a miscellaneous book. And I'm trying to get a document into the miscellaneous book today. And the document is one of public interest. And I'd like you to just bear with me as I make note here.
The problem is that
of a chat with Marc Gravitt.
I'm recording just the audio.
He would not let me use Facebook Live, but
Mark,
we have an audio.
I'm representing my listener, and this notice is about redress of grievances. Now, what I've done is just read the affidavit. I've gone to 6 municipal jurisdictions in the county, and I've said, here's what the scope of the statute is in Title 55. And you're being notified of the limits of that authority. Starting with Chattanooga on February 20th. Next was the county through the chief enforcer, the chief law enforcement officer, Jim Hammond.
I hope you can hear this.
This is a public record. There are unrebutted acknowledgments of receipt.
This is an affidavit stating that you had conversations and that you gave documents to certain individuals.
Yes.
Why does that need to be recorded?
Because of neglect of the statute. You have here widespread neglect is the benign term, but it's widespread rejection of the limits of the scope of the statute. In a nutshell, Mark, Title 55, Tennessee Code, just going up the numbers here, has an enforcement authority that's this wide, but it's being enforced as if it were a football field wide, or maybe from here to where they're painting on the far wall.
I'm holding up my copy of the Tennessee Code annotated that refers to his office, and the reference to the painting in the next room is this, that the new Register of Deeds, who has been in office for a week and a day, is having some work done in the plant.
The scope of activity. This is illegal. It damages the people of our county. And so I'm done the research, prepared by David Tulis, and I didn't have that last time.
Well, if you're of that opinion, and I'm no attorney and I'm not giving legal advice, but can you explain to me why wanting to record these makes it any different? Why not just file suit?
Marc Gravitt is asking, if you couldn't quite hear that why do you want me to record this? Why don't you just file a suit if you're alleging misfeasance or malfeasance? And this is David Tulis, and we will talk about allegations made yesterday at Chattanooga City Council by a man who had run for County Commission, Chris Dahl, and he was shut down by the city council members who refused to hear more and refused to let him continue making allegations of effectively criminal acts, bribery, without a scintilla of evidence. And here now we're hearing with the Register of Deeds on your behalf. We're going to talk today about what I'm trying to accomplish for you here on the David Tulis Show. Marc Gravitt is the new Register of Deeds, and he's gracious enough to chat with me this morning.
Well, in notice,
recording these is not going to do anything.
Well,
except
why does anybody record anything at all? Recording anything, whether a deed or a will or a bequeathal, that doesn't do anything either. But
proof of ownership or so forth.
Well, here
provides that.
Well, here the notice, Mark, provides proof of ownership of the roads. The people own the roads, and they have the free use of them. It's called a public right of way for a reason. But through machinations, through complicity among others, through a combination, there are officials and entities and organizations, including in our county, who reject the ownership of the roads by the people and say, no, we own the roads and we enforce a state claim through Title 55 on the roads.
Now, here I am. I'm talking about you, my listener. I'm here defending you, my listener, on the David Tulis Show. I'm presenting a document to Marc Gravitt, and I'm asking him as the Register of Deeds of Hamilton County to enter this record in the official record, because it's going to be used in lawsuits. Okay, it's going to be used in lawsuits. It's going to be used in petitions, and it is something of benefit to you, my listener. And it's called transportation administrative notice. Now, of course, it's online, and you could say, well, why would you bother having this filed in a county within a county office? What's the point? It's harder to get it there than it would be just to click the link on Nuganomics.com, our chief sponsor, and read the document. Well, the reason it needs to be recorded is because there's an attendant affidavit, and I'm here in our studio and I'm holding up for my viewer on Facebook. By the way, we're all live on Facebook and live also on YouTube. I'm holding up for the Facebook viewer at Nugget Radio the signature, the stamp of the notary who filed it, who made the recording of my swearing of this document being true and accurate as far as I could tell. Right, that's what an affidavit is, and that was at the Tennessee Valley Federal Credit Union in Soddy-Daisy, where I'm a member. And so I went straight to the registrar's office in the county courthouse downtown on your behalf, and I'm saying this document, this is called an affidavit of power of attorney by David Jonathan Tulis regarding transportation administrative notice, Tennessee. That's the thing at issue. That's my project, to liberate you, my listener. Maybe you don't need to be liberated. Maybe you're fine where you are. But there are people who are looking to this document, to the claims made therein about the limited scope of enforcement authority, the limited scope, let's say, of police, okay, here in Hamilton County and in the whole state. And they're waiting for this to be filed so that they might make use of it in a legal setting.
And no, sir, the roads belong to the people, and you can use them freely, except, and the notice makes this very clear, except if you're involved in transportation, which is the regulable use of the road for profit and gain through a corporation, where the place of business principally is the road itself. And there you've got truckers, cabbies, Uber operators, hospital ambulance providers, dump truck operators, etc.
Okay, I get all that. Why are you trying to do this? I get who
because
you
with notice, with notice.
Here's my reasoning.
Look, no one has told these people what the law says. No one has told Sheriff Hammond what the scope of the law is. He hasn't looked.
Okay.
City Council doesn't know the scope of the statute either. And that's why I'm providing a public service as a member of the press. I'm here as a member of the press, and I publish. Okay, I publish all the time, and some publishing is very narrow, right? I broadcast on my show at 1 o'clock, and I narrowcast this information in a very narrow audience, very small audience.
So what are they doing, or what are they not doing that you're claiming?
They are enforcing Title 55,
which is
the transportation statute, upon people who are not involved in transportation.
How?
Traffic stops.
If they're not involved in transportation, they're got to be driving.
What if they're not driving, but they're still on
And
the
then
road?
it's a traffic stop.
Well, Mark, the problem is that even if there are private users, let's say Mexicans and Guatemalans here in Hamilton County, probably half don't have driver's licenses. What are they doing on the road?
Okay.
They're on the road legally under their right to travel. It's a property right.
But if they are driving, then they are not on the road legally.
They're not driving, they're traveling.
Well,
that's the distinction that's made in this document. Okay. And that's why it has to be recorded, because it's going to be used in court.
Okay. Like I said, I'm no attorney, but here's what I'm going to do. Okay?
Yes.
I'm going to refer you to the city attorney. If the city attorney says, Mark, you need to record this, I will record it.
Can you give me a letter about that? If I'm the one making that, if I'm the one conveying that message, then I ask you please to give me a letter making that request.
I will send you an email. What is your email? I'll send it right now with you sitting here.
I'm here with Marc Gravitt, County Register.
Here's my card.
He's getting up. He's going over to his computer because he's going to send a letter.
I could not reach Reuben Taylor for an interview about this matter. The matter of the recording of the document, A, and B, the matter of county enforcement. So I said, well, I'm
county commission meeting as we speak.
Yeah, well, I couldn't get a hold of him, and he did not respond to my query. So I thought, well, I'll make my repair mark on the document with the affidavit and the prepared by.
Please bear with me. Maybe I should just stop it right there. But in that reference, this is my second visit to the county registrar's office to have recorded my administrative notice for Transportation Tennessee. The first visit did not have, rightly, I don't think I had everything quite in order. For example, the main document has to have prepared by David Jonathan Tulis on there. That's me. And then the affidavit, I redid my affidavits by having 4 or 5, or I had 6 affidavits. I put them into one affidavit, each one previously referring to each jurisdiction that I have addressed the notice to on your behalf, right? On the behalf of you, my listener, seeking to protect your liberties and to expand them in Hamilton County in a way that will benefit the poor, the African-American, the immigrant, and the orphan and the widow. You might say the categories would include, in the larger sense, the aliens and strangers in Hamilton County who are often out of sorts, they don't have driver's licenses, and yet they have every right to be on the road if they're not involved in transportation. So that meeting that you heard part of there, I'll stop it since it's not just kind of technical questions about the affidavit. That is part of what I'm doing for you. And so now Marc Gravitt, the newly elected county attorney, the newly elected county register, is going to have a discussion with Reuben Taylor. He misspoke when he said city attorney. The city attorney is Phil Noblet, but he's going to have a conversation with Reuben Taylor, a second conversation about my demand, effectively, to have this document recorded in public, because it's going to be used in litigation and it's going to be used on appeals and so on. It is a public record, and it shouldn't just be available online through me, right? Why should I have exclusive authority over this document, which is the object, which is you might say the vessel by which notice is given of the rights of the people. And the Register of Deeds, which deals with property ownership, rightly is the place for this to be filed, because I'm saying that you, my listener, own the road, and that abusive enforcement of Title 55, the Transportation Code, upon private users is a form of theft. It is a form of changing the boundary, right? It's a question of boundaries and limits. And we know in God's law, if you read your Bible, or if you remember Bible times when you were a teenager or a child, God's law is very clear, even today. And it speaks loudly today on many points that we ignore. But one of them is here in Chattanooga and Hamilton County, the moving of boundary marks. You cannot remove a landmark, because that is a kind of theft. It is a deception. And there has been a landmark moved against you and against the weakest people in Chattanooga and Hamilton County. That would be, in those categories of people that I mentioned. And I did mention them to Marc Gravitt. His inquiry was personal. He wasn't asking all those questions as a matter of his official job. He was just trying to find out who I am and what I'm trying to do, and what's the goal, what's the purpose. These are all reasonable questions, but it is entirely a legal matter. And his duty, as I told him in shaking his hand in departing, he stood in a white shirt. I stood in my brown jacket. I'm wearing my jacket, by the way, the one with the worn out spot on the shoulder. I'm not sure why it's still in my closet in my house in Saudi Daisy, but it is this is David Tulis, the smartest guy with a bow tie in Chattanooga, wearing my bow tie today, looking pretty good, and but somehow a very scruffy sports jacket. And we shook hands, and I said to Marc Gravitt the second time, I said, well, Marc, and I looked him in the face with a thankful expression, your role is ministerial, meaning your role is not discretionary. You don't have discretion, especially when I'm asking for my document to go into the miscellaneous file. So then of course, now if you need this document, now if you're going to travel under administrative notice, which you might want to do, I mean, it's up to you. I would. Not that I'm giving legal advice, of course, but I want to suggest that administrative notice is something that you can travel under if you're traveling freely. So if you don't have a driver license, or you are in some way you're fearful of the officer, fearful that you have something that he doesn't like under the transportation code, right? Revoked license, let's say, or suspended. You can say, well, I have to be on the road. I've just got to be on the road to make a living and to pay my bills and to feed myself, and I can't not use a car. And Judge Alita Trauger in Nashville has ruled very clearly that the whole scheme of taking driver's licenses from people who are too poor to pay their court debt is unconstitutional. It is discriminatory and it's essentially evil, she said. I have, in the way the landscape is changing in my favor, I have really a right to be here, and I'm not going to live in fear. David Tulis has done something for me. He's done a document, and it's a public document in the county that lets any officer who stops me read it and be notified that I'm traveling as a matter of right. I'm not involved in transportation. I'm not operating a car. I'm not driving a motor vehicle. I'm not doing any of those things which are subject to regulation. But I am, as I mentioned to Marc Gravitt today, I am traveling privately in my own conveyance, which is my right is personal property under the Uniform Commercial Code. Your private automobile is personal chattel, and you have a right to use it. So I'm not subject to this traffic stop, officer. Please respect my rights, please. Right? I'm not involved in irregulable activity. I'm not carrying anybody or any people for hire right now. I'm not involved in commercial acts. So there. Please let me go. Thank you. Am I free to leave? That always is the question, by the way, in a traffic stop. Am I free to leave? That is the question. If you're not free to leave, the officer has to have probable cause. In his mind, he has to be able to articulate his probable cause right then and there. And so at that point, if you're not free to leave, you're under arrest, and shut your mouth. Don't say anything else. Don't give any information. That is what you have to do to maintain your rights. Because the burden of proof, if you're under arrest, is entirely on the state, entirely. Now, I want to get to something else. I'm running out of time, and we'll hear I've got some wonderful announcements to make for your benefit here among our sponsors and advertisers at Nooga Radio. And City Council last night heard from, you could call Chris Dahl a kind of a gadfly. He's kind of an incessant critic, not happy. He ran for office in the county commission, and we have a very rough exchange between Darren Ledford and Ken Smith, two city council members, and this man whom they shut down. They shut him down because he was alleging malfeasance of a different kind. In my dealings with Marc Gravitt, I'm saying, well, this document must be recorded on account of claims of misenforcement, right? Claims of malfeasance, effectively, in police practice, deputy practice in the county. So there's you might say an allegation, okay, but now here on his part in city government yesterday night there was an allegation, and we are going to talk about what he said, and I'm going to give you my evaluation of it. Okay, and the question I'm going to answer is, do I think that city council members are corrupt? Okay, that's the question. Are they corrupt? Are they bribe-taking men and women? I'm going to answer that question, but I want you to know that on Thursday at 7:00 every evening at the Starbucks at 10 North on the North Shore, we run the Gridiron Gang Show. That is not Nooga Radio 92.7 FM, show that is about high school sports, high school sports. And do come by and do stop in for a coffee or a brew, maybe a sandwich at the Starbucks at the Gridiron Gang show on Thursday. That's Thursday at 7 o'clock. Our team is there, our sports guys, Nick LaFew, Keon Rose, and others. Coaches come by and gab about their stars, and so take part in that. Now, the question is, will you enjoy my show every day and tell a friend about it? If you tell a friend about my show, guess what? Then I've got 2 listeners. And, going up 100% like that just really thrills me. And I appreciate your tuning in here. We are the Sean Hannity Station, CBS Radio News, with a wonderful, wonderful newscast every morning starting at 6. Gab-free, twaddle-free news. Local, state, national, international. David Tulis, Nuka Radio.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
Bradley County deputies say a warrant to search Mark May's apartment was obtained after neighbors complained he was peeking through their windows and harassing them. The deputy sent to check out the scene said he smelled a strong chemical odor coming from his apartment. The search turned up a large number of chemicals used to manufacture fentanyl, a synthetic opiate multiple times more powerful than heroin. Mays was arrested. A drive-by left an Athens man shot in the hand. Athens police say Leopoldo Gonzalez was driving along when a car pulled up alongside him. The door opened and a man fired at him. The TBI is involved in the case. An unsanctioned counterfeit currency found in Dunlap. The Drug Task Force officers searching the home of Harley Roberts say they found methamphetamine and a counterfeit money operation. Some of that money has been used around town. If you think you were given some of the funny money, call the Dunlap PD. Val St. John for Nuga Radio News Talk 92.7 Action News Now.
Let's face it, Old Faithful isn't as faithful as it used to be. Constant repairs are a hassle and can rack up quick in money and time. Landers McClarty Ford can fix that. Right now, you can get a 2016 Ford Focus, 34,000 miles, only $11,491. A 2017 Chevy Spark with only 17,000 miles for less than $12,000. A 2015 Volkswagen Jetta with less than 21,000 miles for $11,991. Yeah, browse their entire inventory of new and new-to-you cars, trucks, and SUVs online at Landers McCarty Ford of FortPayne.com. Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne. If you can't find your next perfect ride, they'll go find it for you. Big city selection, small town prices, friendly service, and top dollar for your trade. The savings are waiting and only a short drive away, so what are you waiting for? Get started with your personalized shopping today at Landers McClarty Ford of FortPayne.com.
Join Nuga Radio and the Gridiron Gang live from 7 to 9 at Starbucks at 10 North on the North Shore. We're talking all things high school football. There's a specialty brew or refresher weekly inspired by the game of the week. Sweet treats, extended hours all season long, and we're pet friendly. Portions of all proceeds support local schools and educational scholarships as well as after-school programs. It's football time in Tennessee. Join us every Thursday live from 7 to 9 at Starbucks, 10 North, your North Shore neighborhood living room.
Your home is a constant work in progress. Repaint the walls? Yeah, easy enough. Leaky faucet? There's a video for that. But roof repair? You might want some help. That's where Chattanooga Roofing Contractors come in. They have 3 generations of roofing excellence you can count on. Leave the ladder in the garage. Go to chatroofing.com. That's chatroofing.com for Chattanooga Roofing Contractors, a roofing company you can trust.
Cash, 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 and more cash. Get 8.1% return on your money. Rick Davis can turn your cash into real money. Gold and silver bullion. American Eagle Gold. The banks give you a measly 1.9%. At Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, you'll get 8.1% return on your money. 8.1% return on your money. Wow! Whether you're buying an ounce or 100 ounces, Rick guarantees it in writing. 8.1% Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. Freighter Road, Chattanooga.
Man, you sure you know what you're doing?
Yeah, I worked with my dad on his truck all the time. Just one more bolt to go.
Yeah, wrong bolt. Today's truck ain't your daddy's truck. For repairs on today's vehicles, you need Amco Transmission and Total Car Care of Chattanooga on Lee Highway. Stay on the road, not in the garage. Amco transmission on Lee Highway. Get it done the right way, the Thompson Pet way. Yeah, I just put that in.
Join We've Got You Covered with Scott Schrader every Saturday from 10 to 11 on Nuga Radio. From finance to fixtures, we discuss everything you need to know about buying or owning a home, the pitfalls, the perks, and everything in between. Saturday mornings, 10 to 11, right here on Nuga Radio.
Nuga Radio, Chattanooga weather.
Heating up out there for your afternoon with partly cloudy skies. A spotty shower or storm possible, but not many. Highs upper 80s. Tonight, a little muggy or lows closer to 70. For Thursday and Friday, some sunshine, hot. Only spotty afternoon showers and storms with highs each day around 90. Looking to buy or sell a home? Real Living Southern Realty provides real answers and customized marketing solutions. Serving the entire tri-state area, check rlsouthernrealty.com for more. And I'm SOAR Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Ford.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
Now, the smartest guy with a bow tie in Chattanooga, Tennessee, David Tulis.
Near is better than far here in Chattanooga. Small is better than big in Hamilton County. And simple is better than complex. And worldwide, I would say, personal is better than corporate and physical than abstract. Not that any of the things on the right-hand column, say the abstract or the corporate, are necessarily or inherently evil, but they tend in a bad direction, and they are accelerated when you don't have a free market, when you have a marketplace where the great people and the mighty people get their way and run their businesses and have cartels and licensing schemes and regulatory schemes to defend themselves and their big businesses. You have the proof written out there of my argument here on the David Tulis Show. Corporate is better for them than personal, right? In the end, there is no personal for them. And this is David Tulis. Caller, do you have something to offer today? Yes, you're on the David Tulis Show. What is on your mind, please?
Okay, so I'm trying to kind of get my head around what you're speaking about with as far as public access to the roads and things like that, as far as people maybe not having a driver's license and shouldn't be required to. And I want to understand where you're coming from before I form my opinion on it. But let's take, for example, I'm a contractor here in town. A couple of years ago, I was traveling up 24 on the 75, and a driver comes along, hits me in the back of my car, spins me across 3 lanes of traffic. My car is totaled, trailer's damaged, and I am, somewhat injured in the thing. The person who was driving was an illegal alien. She had no driver's license, no insurance, hardly a grasp of the English language. And as it comes down to it, I still don't know who the woman was. The police came, they took her statement, they took her information, and basically I have no redress of grievances against this woman at all. So what should be in place for me to be able to, basically press a case against her if she's not required to have a license to be able to operate a vehicle on the road?
Well, let's deal with your immediate story, and I appreciate your call. Thank you very much. Okay, so you had an accident. You were rear-ended by a woman who had you might say disqualifications all about her. She was poor. She didn't speak the language. She didn't have the driver's license, which you might say the badge of permission to use the road, the kind of magical card that gives her sort of authorization.
Poor doesn't have anything to do with.
Well, but it does, because you're concerned about redress and making yourself whole after the accident. Your injuries cared for, and your car or vehicle restored or repaired. Right. It does matter. If she doesn't have a license, then she probably doesn't have insurance either. Is that right?
That's true.
Okay, so she was really just a naked person, not physically naked, but she was naked as far as having the outward trappings of protection that we all think she should have, right? She should have a driver's license showing she's qualified. She should have insurance to have her guarantee her accidents and her injuries, right? That's why she would have it. And so those are the two badges, you might say, the two things that will make her qualified, and a person that we could accept being on the road as maybe an equal, right? Someone who's not going to injure us and us have no means of redress. But think about this though. Did you not get her information from the officer who made the report?
Yes, that's assuming she gave, she gave a name, but the name, haven't been able to find her. The address is no good. There was just nothing. I could, if I go out here and I get in an accident, I could say I'm Elmer Fudd and I live, in Walt Disney World, but that doesn't make it the case.
Well, what she did was, though, in making those statements, she was committing a crime. That is a misdemeanor crime to make a false statement to an officer. So she, realizing her, as she would see it, her peril vis-a-vis the law and vis-a-vis you, the person she's injured and who now has a claim against her, she's violating the law to tell the truth to the officer, because she can't lie to him in that report. So there's a crime involved against, you might say against, in your context, you could say against you too, not directly, but a crime against the state. And so now you're saying that you've not been able to find her to sue her, right? Because the court is there to provide you a remedy, and you can't find her to make her come before the judge, let's say Judge Atherton in Chancery Court, to have your claims aired. Is that right?
Yes, because of course insurance isn't going to pay for the replacement of the vehicle. It's something that I had to come out of pocket quite a bit to be able to replace the vehicle, even though I had full coverage. It still cost me. It cost me money. It cost me time off of work from an injury. It cost me for the replacement of the equipment. Time lost, all those things. And again, I'm just trying to understand your point of view on this, so I can make an informed decision.
Well, Carl, I really
what you're saying.
I really appreciate your wanting to be open-minded about my suggestions. They are perhaps a bit complicated, but let me ask you a question. If no one had insurance on the road and no one had licenses, do you think that the body of people on the road would be generally more safe or less safe? I guess the question, rephrasing it, maybe make it better, would be this: does insurance make you more careful or less careful as a traveling person behind the wheel? What do you suppose?
I think that insurance. I definitely don't think insurance makes people more careful. I'm a firm believer that insurance has probably messed up quite a bit of things for us. As far as with healthcare, with just whatever it is, insurance makes people a little bit less responsible.
Well, that's right. Okay, so the statute that we have in Tennessee that requires insurance and proof of insurance if you're a driver or an operator, though it does serve a purpose, right? Why do you suppose that the state requires drivers and operators to have insurance? What's the reason for that?
I don't know. What would you say?
Well, I'd say for the main thing is that that law applies to commercial operators. The whole statute, the whole green volume of 55, the 54 and 55 are together in the green bound volumes, but the Title 55 is all about commercial insurance. And so if you're on the road in commerce, that's your place of business. And so the state rightly requires you to have insurance because you are making a living there. You are bringing danger to the road with your truck, your load, your speeds, your weights, possible wear, say, of your brakes or of your engine. You might have an axle that gives out and suddenly you're careening sideways like you were doing when you were hit in the back. And so that raises risks to the road. And also, if your place of business is on the road, then there are risks to people and wear on the road. That's the other thing, is wear on the road. Now, let me ask you this: are you in the contracting field? Would you say that your place of business is the lot where the house is going up, or the new factory is going up, or is it the road?
It's the lot where the house is going up.
Okay, so your place of business is either your office, where you plan out with your rolls of paper, right? Your designs and your architectural renderings and your plans and your notebooks, and or the site, the job site, since you are a contractor.
I would say it's the job site, or the office. Yes.
Okay. So what happens though is when you're traveling, let me ask you this: Are you not in commerce when you are getting in your nice truck? I guess you have a repaired truck or a new truck now. Is not that commerce, since you are a businessman and you are making a living by being on the road? Would not that be considered commerce in your mind?
I'd say that'd be reasonable. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's the common understanding, that yes, if you're involved in any business at all, or even if you're not, if you're on the road, you are a commercial. You're there for commercial use. And what I'm dealing with Marc Gravitt and this whole notice project is to say, well, hold on. Let's not be so easy about it. And let's understand that this law applies to people whose place of business is not the job site with all the mud and the earth movers and the piles of the pallets and piles of wood and so on, brick. That's not that's the place of business for the contractor, but the man who's making a living on the road, he is subject to this law, and that's what the law makes subject. People who are the cab drivers, the haulers, the ambulance drivers, the wrecker services, the dump truck operators. Now I know you see dump trucks on your job sites, but they are in transportation, but you're not. The cement mixer, he's also involved in transportation. People who haul dynamite, they're all involved in or dangerous products like that. They're transporters, and so they're bound by these laws, and so they have to have insurance because they're raising the risks on people like you, who are an innocent man hit in the rear.
Okay.
Well, let me ask you one more question. I do thank you for calling, but a question for you is: if there was no regulation, would there be total anarchy on the road? If my argument is let's say my argument is not just legally correct, but practically, let's say it was socially imposed, right? Let's say the ideas I had of a free market in transportation and free market in travel occurred. Would there be a sudden increase in accidents, do you think? Would there be a sudden, where you have non-licensed people on the road? Would there be accidents left and right, chaos on the road, bodies lying on the ditch, and so on? Is that
not likely?
Why not? Why not?
Well, I mean, nothing ever is that extreme. I mean, people are going to go about their day-to-day tasks. They're probably going to drive in the same manner they do now. You could make an argument for increase of people that have had licenses taken away due to DUI, intoxication, those kind of things, being back on the road. But a lot of those people drive anyway, so the likelihood of that increasing drastically is not that high either.
And is it possible that there might be, say, the use of the nuisance statute of someone who, let's say, if we had a free market in travel, someone who did have a record of injuring people by being drunk on the road? Would there be authority for an officer to stop that person if that person is spotted behind the wheel? Let's say the nuisance statute, because I think that would be one remedy already in the law that would prevent abusers from being on the road. Any ideas on that point?
Yeah, I mean that most likely would be handled with current law.
Well, I don't think new statute would have to be written for that if there were fruit long term on this project. And that's my I do appreciate your call. Thank you so much, caller.
Thank you.
That is my idea that over time this program will spread and people will suddenly realize that this is a way to end police abuse. And much police abuse happens through the statute, through Title 55. and misenforced, overly broadly enforced. And I say, I'm trying to be very gracious about this. I'm not calling anybody a criminal. Okay. I'm not, even though you could say that a crime is any violation of a law, especially if the crime is knowingly done. That's when there's intent, then you have a crime, right? So a crime would require intent. But what I'm saying is that we have a wrong enforcement of the statute. And so my project this week has been to get this notice into the public record in the county register of deeds office. These are deeds that I am involved in as your host here, David Tulis. We are in Chattanooga, and the number is 800-8949, 800-8949. And I do thank you for calling. Listen, if you have a question for me, I will be glad to try to answer it. But if you have a problem, well, let me ask you the questions. Okay. I really appreciate when people tell me about their problems. I'm always a good ear. I like to listen. And I think I've always had that grace, if you will, to listen to people and not to think that I have to be heard. I have you, my listener, to talk to you. I don't have to be heard all the time. So when someone has something to say, I want, I ask God to give me grace sometimes to not jump in to say something, but I want to be a gracious person and just to listen. I think the whole marketplace would be better if people practice listening. If I could do better in that grace, I use the word grace, and you think, well, man, the guy's getting religious on me. Well, it is a grace when you listen to someone and not think you have to answer right away, because some people's problems are so complicated, and you hear about one, and then suddenly you see that another one opens up as they talk about the next thing, and then you hear a little bit about that, and you say, well, yes, and then they speak on, and then suddenly there are 2 or 3 other things that they kind of bifurcate, and you end up having a whole fabric, like a picture of this person's life, and there are a strewing about of woes and troubles and traps that they have. And the number is 800-8949, 800-8949. That's the studio line. And my name is David Tulis. We're here in Chattanooga, and we are trying to bring results. We're trying to bring mercies and remedies. And the whole question about transportation, I'm aware, I don't want to beat this to death. It's something I write a good bit about. And if you are a man who matters, and I trust that you are in your sphere of influence and in your domain, you might want to be a subscriber to Nuganomics.com. That's Nuganomics.com. We're live on Facebook. And I appreciate, I do want to have an interview with Michael Gilliland. I was just mentioning yesterday that I wanted to find out more about the Lincoln Park event and the fundraiser for the cash bail program. So if Michael Gilliland would give me a call, we can hear about that, because the cash bail reform is essential. That's on my, I posted something just a few days ago about the 6 legal reforms in Chattanooga. And I'm asking that Christian people look at that list and understand that there are important injustices in Chattanooga. And I'm mentioning today the Noah McLemore arrest by a still unidentified Chattanooga police officer, a white female, confronting this very handsome, very dark-skinned African-American shoe and clothing store operator on Highway 58, and assuming the absolute worst of him, absolute worst, maybe because he was smoking at his front door, maybe because he wears a wife-beater T-shirt as his mode of dress in his store. But it is a frightening and embarrassing thing that things like that happen. That's a small injustice, but one yesterday when I made a Facebook Live video with him, and when we were done, he wept. He had tears in his face. This is a family man, married, and has at least one child. And tears streamed down his face as he recalled it. And my job is to make this come back to life for him. So in a way, I'm not welcome in his store. Noah McLemore, who runs Foot, I can't remember the name of the business, but it's you can read it at Nuganomics.com. That's Nuganomics.com. That has it's called Footworks. And here I am. I'm asking what happened. Let me hear the story. Let's make note of the story. And it all came back to him watching that video again. It's live on Facebook, and you can see it at Nuganomics.com, our sponsor, chief sponsor on the David Tulis Show, Nuganomics.com. So we want to talk with Michael Gilliland about the cash bail fund project. And Christian churches all through Chattanooga should be involved in that. They should be involved in that. They should give generously to it, and that money will be recycled. 60% of the people at the Hellhole, the award-winning, highly certified Hellhole, run by Sheriff Jim Hammond downtown, are there and have not been convicted. What does that mean? What does that mean? That means they are there and they do not have money to pay the bail. The whole cash bail system is corrupt, evil, and wicked. It needs to be abolished, just like Governor Moonbeam Brown did a couple weeks ago in California. He made a half-hearted abolition. There's some discretion that flies now to judges in dealing with payments for guarantee of appearance in court. It's not perfect, but you could say it's been abolished in California, and that there are major changes afoot. And Michael Gilliland here in Chattanooga is very aware of this and working on this project. And this is a project that Christian people, among 6 reforms, should be involved in here in Chattanooga. And my name is David Tulis, and I'm your host here on the David Tulis Show. 800-8949, 800-8949. That's the number to call if you think I can help you with your problem. Now, I saw the number 2 journalist in Chattanooga this morning outside the city, the county court, the county commission meeting hall in the old county courthouse where members meet. And she is a real journalist. And somehow I want to kind of justify myself as being not as low as you might think. Okay. I'm the journalist who broadcasts here on 92.7, the Sean Hannity CBS radio station, but I also narrowcast. I also write published documents that are read by 10 people. Okay. I publish documents to tiny, tiny, tiny slivers of people who are important. And maybe we can talk about what I'm telling them. David Tulis, New York Radio, 800-8949.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
Bradley County deputies say a warrant to search Mark May's apartment was obtained after neighbors complained he was peeking through their windows and harassing them. The deputy sent to check out the scene said he smelled a strong chemical odor coming from his apartment. The search turned up a large number of chemicals used to manufacture fentanyl, a synthetic opiate multiple times more powerful than heroin. Mays was arrested. A drive-by left an Athens man shot in the hand. Athens police say Leopoldo Gonzalez was driving along when a car pulled up alongside him. The door opened and a man fired at him. The TBI is involved in the case. An unsanctioned counterfeit currency found in Dunlap. The Drug Task Force officers searching the home of Harley Roberts say they found methamphetamine and a counterfeit money operation. Some of that money has been used around town. If you think you were given some of the funny money, call the Dunlap PD. Val St. John for Nuga Radio, News Talk 92.7, Action News Now.
Nuga Radio, Chattanooga weather.
Heating up out there for your afternoon with partly cloudy skies. A spotty shower storm possible, but not many. Highs upper 80s. Tonight, a little muggier, lows closer to 70. For Thursday and Friday, some sunshine, hot. Only spotty afternoon showers and storms with highs each day around 90. Looking to buy or sell a home? Real Living Southern Realty provides real answers and customized marketing solutions. Serving the entire tri-state area, check rlsouthernrealty.com for more. And I'm Source 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick 4.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
My ex recently hacked my email and my social media, and it really caused me some problems. I changed all my passwords, which helped, but I'm still getting trolled, maybe even stalked. I know it's him. I just can't prove it.
My business, well, it's been broken into twice already. I've got cameras, but that only helps after the fact. I'd rather prevent it from happening in the first place.
Unity One East is your solution to these and many other security concerns. With private investigation, security services, and backed by decades of real-life experience in military and law enforcement, Unity One East is your instant contact for security, investigation, and consultation to help protect you, your family, and your business. No 1-800 number, no red tape, no wait, because Unity One East is local and available 24/7. Reclaim your peace of mind. Call Unity One East, 475-6206, 475-6206.
Call 423-875-3600 if you're looking to expand your professional look of your business. Then consider the vast opportunities that are available when you locate your office with the Raines Group family. Remember, it's location, 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 and the Raines Group has the location for your professional office. Check out the spaces for lease at Executive Business Park on the Lee Highway. Small or large, we will build to suit your needs with the Raines Group. Call 423-875-3600 for the business professionals with the Raines Group.
Hey, dude, check this out. Have you ever seen one so big?
Whoa, look at the size of that.
Look at this little itty-bitty one.
Wow, that's really small.
They have them big, small, and everything in between. You'll always find the biggest variety of knives at the knife shop at Frost Cutlery in Ottawa. We're talking about over 40 brands of knives, including Benchmade, WR Case & Sons, Booker, and all the Frost Cutlery brands. Now, Sam, you've been to the cutlery shop. Is it amazing?
Spectacular. The knife shop at Frost Cutlery in Ottawa. They have knives, swords, kitchen knives, ammo, and reloading supplies, plus survival gear.
It's the knife shop at Frost Cutlery. Open 7 days a week. Hey, girls, you're going to love this. We're going to the knife shop.
Hey, let's not tell them they have ammo and loading supplies.
The knife shop at Frost Cutlery opens 7 days a week. You'll always find the biggest variety of knives. You're going to love the knife shop at Frost Cutlery in Ottawa. The knife shop.
And tell them David Tulis sent you.
Nuga Radio.
Are you brain dead? Still voting for pathetic liberals? Take 3 hours of Sean Hannity from 3 to 6.
Nuga Radio.
Then call us in the morning between 9 and 11.
92.7
Nuga Radio. WPLZ HD4 Ottawa, W224AZ Chattanooga.
Serving Chattanooga.
Broadcasting live from the center of the universe, the Tennessee Valley's most listened to news talk station.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by ZipRecruiter.
I'm Jim Mishanavy. President Trump says the federal government is ready for Hurricane Florence, now 2 days away from a landfall on the Carolina coast.
Hurricane Florence is fast approaching. It's going to be here over the next 48 hours, and they say it's about as big as they've seen coming to this country and certainly to the East Coast as they've ever seen.
North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper warning holdouts to get out of coastal areas while they still can.
Understand that the rain may last for days and not hours. And this may be a marathon, not a sprint.
Correspondent David Begnaud is in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina.
The people I'm talking to seem to be taking the storm seriously. Even those who are staying behind and hunkering down in their homes are in the grocery stores right now, stocking up on everything they can get. Look, I grew up in hurricane country, so I'm used to folks saying, no, I've been through it before, I'm going to ride it out. This one, for whatever reason, people seem to be taking it seriously and saying, you know, I'm going to go.
Democrats are calling it a scandal, the Trump administration's transfer of nearly $10 million from FEMA's budget to ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. CBS's Jeff Pegues.
In their response, a spokesman for the Department of Homeland Security said the funds cut from FEMA were from routine operating expenses and could not have been used for hurricane response. DHS also says that under no circumstances was any disaster relief funding transferred from FEMA to ICE services.
ICE did use the money to fund detainment centers for illegal immigrants. Pope Francis has summoned top Catholic bishops to the Vatican. Correspondent Nikki Batiste.
Pope Francis has called all the presidents of the world's various conferences of Catholic bishops to Rome for a meeting on clergy abuse. This is really unprecedented. This is the first such summons of its kind. We're hearing that the date for that meeting is in February of next year.
The announcement came at the end of a 3-day meeting of C9, the group of 9 cardinals that meets 4 times a year to advise the Pope. Another top CBS executive out of a job, Jeff Fager, no longer executive producer at 60 Minutes. Steve Dorsey reports.
In a note to CBS News staff, President David Rhodes announced Fager's departure effective immediately, but Rhodes says it's not directly related to the allegations surfaced in press reports. However, Rhodes says Fager violated company policy. It follows the exit of Les Moonves as head of CBS following sexual misconduct allegations. A search is underway for Fager's replacement.
CBS says it will continue an independent investigation into the allegations of misconduct. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 3. This is CBS News.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. ZipRecruiter's technology finds qualified candidates for businesses of all sizes. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Macy's cardholders. Now through December 31st, you can get even more rewards when you join Thanks for Sharing. Sign up with a $25 enrollment fee charged to your Macy's card to get 10% back in rewards on qualifying Macy's credit card purchases. In February, you'll receive your rewards in the form of a rewards card that you can use on anything at Macy's. Plus 10 out of every $25 enrollment fee up to $15 million will be donated to select charities. Head to Macy's.com/thanks or visit a store to join today and for terms and conditions. Exclusions apply to reward earning purchases.
It's the Can-Am Spyder Yellow Tag sales event at your local BRP dealer. With its unique Y-frame design, 2 wheels in front and 1 in back, Can-Am Spyder gives you the confidence to fully embrace the exhilaration of open-air riding. So get a Can-Am Spyder during the Yellow Tag sales event and get up to a $5,500 rebate on select 2018 models. Visit your local BRP dealer today. Offer ends September 30th, 2018. Certain conditions may apply. See dealer for details.
A Kentucky town is mourning the death of a pioneering mayor. Steve Kathan reports.
The first female mayor of Rabbit Hash, Kentucky has died. She was 12, and she was a dog. Lucy Liu, a border collie, served from 2008 to 2016. CBS Sunday Morning's Bill Geist covered that race 10 years ago.
Do any of these candidates have fleas? Have they ever made a mistake on the kitchen floor? Voters want to know.
The river town of 315 people holds this election every 4 years as a fundraiser for the local historical society. A female pit bull holds the mayor's title in Rabbit Hash now. Steve Kathan, CBS News.
Middle-class income hit an all-time high last year. That's according to the Census Bureau. The median U.S. household earning $61,372 last year. Economists consider that an important moment because crossing the $61,000 mark signals the American middle class is finally earning more than it did in 1999. Jim Chenevy.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
57-year-old Tyrone Murphy set to stand trial for murder this week. He's accused in the stabbing death of 30-year-old Ashley Cates at her apartment on Bailey Avenue. Reports say the police were able to track down Mr. Murphy by following a trail of blood to his apartment. Reports say he was offered a 20-year plea deal for second-degree murder. The EPA's upped the ante with its commitment to the Southside Chattanooga area by adding it to the national priorities list. The ground in areas of the city are so badly contaminated by lead that it's unsafe to live there. A homeless camp set up by the city earlier in the year had to be moved because of the toxic waste. Impacted areas include Alton Park and Jackson Heights. For the third time this year, an inmate died at the Bradley County Jail. The inmate hasn't been identified yet, but the TBI was called in to investigate the death. This is the third death this year, the first in April, the second in August. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7 Action News now.
Heating up out there for your afternoon with partly cloudy skies. A spotty shower storm possible, but not many. Highs upper 80s tonight. A little muggy or lows closer to 70. For Thursday and Friday, some sunshine, hot. Only spotty afternoon showers and storms with highs each day around 90. Looking to buy or sell a home? Real Living Southern Realty provides real answers and customized marketing solutions. Serving the entire tri-state area, check rlsouthernrealty.com for more. And I'm Source 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick 4.
Radio 92.7.
Do you hear that? That, my friend, is not what you're thinking. That is the new 2018 Indian Chieftain Dark Horse. Yeah, Indian. Indian motorcycle is more than a bike. It's an experience, an American icon. And Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga is the only place you'll find their new 2018 line. Are you ready to ride? Join the club. Go to Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga. Just look for the sign, 153 and Adlacola. Indian Motorcycle, the true American original.
Join We've Got You Covered with Scott Schrader every Saturday from 10 to 11 on Nuga Radio. From finance to fixtures, we discuss everything you need to know about buying or owning a home, the pitfalls, the perks, and everything in between. Saturday mornings, 10 to 11, right here on Nuga Radio.
If you want to discover the real hope for your life through inspirational music, relevant messages, and testimonies from others who have already found hope, then we encourage you to visit the second annual My Hope Conference, October 7th through 9th at Hickson First Baptist Church. Free admission and childcare is provided for kids up to pre-K, while those in kindergarten through 5th grade will attend the Kids Hope Rally. For more info, visit myhopeconference.com or call Hickson First Baptist Church at 423-877-2467.
Now, the smartest guy with a bow tie in Chattanooga, Tennessee, David Tulis.
And now to City Council. City Council is occupied by men and women who, in some respects, leave a lot to be desired in representing the people and in aggressively seeking the interests of common people. The accusation that I hear floating about is that, well, all they seem to care about are developers, and the meetings are consumed by either purchasing or zoning variances and I'd say the extra legal and unconstitutional pretenses of authority over private property and how that property should be rezoned or made to conform to the plan, right? The plan that John Bridger with his bow tie at the Regional Planning Agency stewards as a state authorized activity. And so that is where the people's representatives spend their time and their energy at City Council. Now, yesterday, a man named Chris Dahl, who ran for Warren Mackey's seat on the county commission, made an appearance. He often shows up. He has a particular style of approach and manner of approach. And here is a little bit of what he had to say.
I'd like to address Mr. Mitchell first and let him know that form-based code is being pushed onto neighborhoods. There was recently an Area 3 plan meeting a couple months ago for Highland Park and other areas where that was being discussed. And that's the plan, is to have that pushed onto the neighborhoods. So I wanted to bring that to your attention so you know. Second, I'd like to say that there are backdoor meetings that happen.
Now, here is where he begins his allegations of impropriety and skullduggery and bribery. And
with developers.
Listen to what he has to say.
Some of these happen.
We have a rebuttal
about White Oak development, where Mr. Ledford has been to these meetings. And I know that other type of meetings like this goes on in neighborhoods as well, and we don't know, the public doesn't know what's said at these meetings or what deals are made, because they're not recorded properly according to the Tennessee Opens Meetings Act. They're supposed to be. On top of that, we don't know what's told to you guys throughout the day. So we don't know whether you guys have met with developers and maybe it's shook hands with them, or maybe if they've taken you guys out for a lunch where maybe a couple $100 has been exchanged for a vote. So I'd just like to, say that these things have gone on.
Now, you're not going to be able to understand what's said here. I'm sorry. I should have unplugged my microphone from my phone and stuck my phone out in front of me there on the first row on the right-hand side to at least try to catch what is being said first by Darren Ledford and then by Ken Smith. So there's a kind of a
and I'd like to say thank you for allowing me to speak. Yeah, we've actually been to a couple of those White Oak meetings, though.
And Darren Ledford is angry at the suggestion that he is involved in taking part in meetings and somehow being influenced outside the view of the public. Now, not every meeting that a legislator tends to
address Mr. Mitchell first and let him know that form-based.
Well, there's not a rule against accusations of malfeasance. The rule is about disparaging council members or anybody else for that matter, staff or anybody else at this mic. It is meant to come here and voice concerns that you have over issues that are taking place in the city, but accusations that are frankly of illegal kind and making those as if people are breaking the law with absolutely zero evidence is not what we allow up here.
And that is Ken Smith, who is explaining who's explaining why he was shutting down Chris Dahl on the microphone. And Chris, after he fired his broadside, went thanked the city council members for listening to what he had to say and went back to his seat. Now, the question I want to raise is there substance to this line of accusations? Is there something reasonable in the idea from Chris Dahl that there should be somehow a record made of everything a city council member does? If he attends a meeting, that somehow there should be a record made of it. There should be a note made of it. That there should be the Sunshine Law intruding into the affairs of every meeting, every call, every doing of a city council member or a county commissioner or a state legislator. I would say no. I would say that to be in office does require the trust of the public, but not surveillance. You can't have a surveillance in as a city council member or a county commission member where there's always something on the record. You can't meet with somebody. I believe there are limits on how many legislators can meet together, let's say for lunch, because then you have a meeting, right? And there is a rule, I'm not sure how it applies in which jurisdiction, on limiting gatherings of officials, say before a big vote, right? If we have lunch, all of us have lunch at a local restaurant before a vote, well, that constitutes an illicit meeting that should be open to the public, for which there has to be notice given, right? The statute requires notice to be given to people like you to be able to sit in on a meeting and hear what they have to say. And they can't have a large number of council members together to discuss something. It's not allowed. And there's a reason for that. So in other words, once you leave the city council chamber, you have to kind of stay away from other council members, because if you have too many together, you have an illicit meeting that comes under the ban in the law. And it's like that in other states as well. So I'm referring here to Tennessee, but that limitation is not exclusive to this state. Well, regarding the suggestions though by Chris Dahl, I don't believe they're correct. I don't believe that city council in Chattanooga is corrupt. And you say, well, what evidence do you have that they're not corrupt? Well, the question really should be turned around to the man, Chris Dahl, making the accusations. And that is, what evidence do you have that things are not right in dealing with votes on rezonings or permit exemptions, or should there or should there not be qualifications added by John Bridger on the planning commission to a particular proposal? Should a proposal be shot down, or should it be approved, or should it be approved with conditions? What conditions? How many conditions? Did the developer do enough to reduce the number of housing units from 95 to 84? Right? Is that enough? And will you vote for it if he reduces it more, or will you vote for it as it is? And where is the influence on such votes? Does there have to be a public record made of how you get your information? When Darren Ledford, who's a very dedicated city council member, does research on a project and then makes a speech about it at some point in the proceedings, you can tell he's done that work on his own. He's his own man. He follows his own genius. And that labor, or Ken Smith, when they do a research on a project and give their time to it, that is all gratis, mostly gratis, right? It's gratis in the public interest. And it's always damaging to them to be in when you have a big project like that, especially if you want to be right and it's not clear. That means more time required. And so when Darren Ledford, pulls back his arm to make a punch on a vote, he's many times he's aware of the cost to him to make that punch true and accurate, because the more complicated it is, the more interest there are, the more sides there might be: the homeowner, the builder, the lender, the neighbors, the other officials. the more people involved, the harder it is to get to concluding what the right thing is. And sometimes it's just really hard to punt on a vote. Sometimes you can punt. Sometimes you can vote easily on something. It doesn't really matter. Other things take a lot of time. And so does Chris Dahl accusing the city council members of malfeasance and shady dealings and getting a couple $100 for a vote, is he expecting something real? Is that the real world? And I'd say that no, the presentation that you heard from him is not the world as it really is. Is there the possibility of graft? Of course there is. Is there the chance that it's happening here? I would say slightly possible, but I'm not as close to city council doings as others, such as Judy Walton is, who covers it for the newspaper, or others who write a lot about the city council. I go to the meetings and I cover it some, and part of my coverage though is sort of in defense of your rights. Right? There's one I'm there for kind of a particular area of government that I believe the council should work more in. And that would be management of Mayor Andy Berg's police department. That is a very important area that is consistent with my free market economic development plan, my idea for more prosperity in Chattanooga and Hamilton County. So the question is, do I suspect these council members are guilty of corruption and graft? And the answer is no. I don't believe that they are, and if Chris Dahl has evidence, well, I would be happy to look at it. Okay, I'd be happy, Chris, to vet your information, and don't forget, there are just because someone has met somebody or had lunch with somebody doesn't mean that he is going to cave in on principle. That is too easy to say. I think the people of Chattanooga have not misvoted anybody on that council. I'd say they're all there by God's providence, and I would assume the best. And I think we should have that attitude of city council, that we should assume the very best, not assume the worst, not assume that there's intentional turning away of someone's petition or plea based on a gift or a fat steak. And when Chris Dahl mentioned that someone is getting a couple $100, there was a kind of guffawing among the council members, and particularly, I think, Darren Leffer. It's laughable to think that my vote is going to be changed for $200 or a fancy dinner on the North Shore. That's not going to change my mind about anything. Though I'd say it's probably wise for a city council member to buy his own lunch. I would suggest that should be done. I'm sure Carol Burrs, when she's a very busy operator of a dispute resolution business, that she has business clients and she probably buys them lunch, right? But some people might say, well, Carol, let me buy you lunch and let me bend your ear, over lunch. And she's probably someone who says, well, that's fine. I'll buy my own lunch. I'm a businesswoman. But if anybody's buying lunch for that particular city council member, she's the one doing the paying, right? Probably she's the one paying. So no, I don't think we're not like New England. We're not like Chicago, where municipal corporations and their so-called leaders are corrupt. And there's a lot of strong arming. There's graft. There's corruption. I think I've been a journalist in Chattanooga for most of my adult life. I've been at the newspaper. I covered the business section. I made the business section happen. I was not a reporter. I was an editor. And there in our area, graft of the kind that Chris Dahl suggests, I would say, is minimal. I would say it's minimal. And so that's not something that for me is a big concern. Now, again, I may just not know. I may not have the inside scoop. And maybe if you know something about something corrupt, well, then let me know. I'm the editor who looks at these things, the writer who covers these kinds of topics. But the things that come to me in the way of notice, right, that come to my notice, they're different. And the number, just by the way, the number is 800-8949. Call me and let's talk about your situation. Do you have something unique that I've not heard a word about? So maybe you can inform me of some new thing. Now, I'm running out of time, but there's a price gouging statute in North Carolina that I want to just mention, and as I can. But before I get to that, I want to mention something else. That Chattanooga has followed other municipal governments in a sad and I'd say pernicious abuse, and that is of the Airbnb and a short-term vacation rental market that is made possible by the internet. And there's a story at Chattanooga.com today about Lookout Mountain, Tennessee, that is following in the bad way of Chattanooga City Council. Now, hold on. You say, well, David, you just now gave them a stamp of approval, and here you're starting to criticize them for an evil act. Well, that's yes, I am. Okay, but the mistake they're making is not an evil act in the way of personal malfeasance. Okay, it's not. This is not taking a bribe. This is just making a constitutionally wrong mistake. Okay, it's not caring about the people. The ban on Airbnb in Chattanooga is not inurement, right? It's not corruption in that way. It's not bribery. Okay, it's just a bad ordinance with an evil and pernicious result. Okay, do you see the difference? Okay, so Chattanooga has this bad ordinance, and Lookout Mountain, in the story that Gail Perry has in today's Chattanooga.com, has a paragraph down buried in the details about, get this, two homeowners have been discovered making short-term vacation rentals through Airbnb or like platforms. And the story sort of carrying the water for the government, right? Gail should have really she should put this in the lead, if you ask me. But the story says that two people are making rentals such as VBRO and Airbnb illegal, and that's the ordinance, illegal anywhere in the town other than in the commercial district. Now, there's a man named Sam Silver who has sued in Superior Court. And I was just getting caught up with Sam Silver suing over this, and he's also apparently sued in federal court. So this is news I just missed, but I don't catch everything here on the David Tulis Show, but we eventually get to everything that's important, everything that touches on your interests and your liberties and your rights. And here now in Lookout Mountain, the town commission, as it's called, is saying, no, we cannot have the gig city in Lookout Mountain either. And the last sentence in that paragraph says, he reminds all residents that these rentals are illegal. And if they are found, the owner will be cited to court. Well, I got off the phone with Sam Silver just a minute ago, and he has one case in Superior Court, and the other, according to a press account, one in U.S. District Court. For a pernicious and wicked free market exercise of his rights. I said, hey, Sam, you know about the $50 fine rule in the Constitution, right? And I mentioned Chattanooga versus Davis and Chattanooga versus Myers that make it very clear cities do not have punitive authority at all. They have only the authority to fine. And a fine is different from a punishment. And so that's a point that I think in many ways is rejected by practicing attorneys across the state. I know here in Chattanooga that ruling from about 17 years ago is not thought much of. And Basil Marceau, you might say the candidate for governor and perennial figure around the courthouse, is right about this. And he said we're all being gaslighted. Basil Marceau does, and I respect Basil Marceau, and I've had many conversations with him about legal questions, and he has pointed out some remarkably astute things to me. And one of them is that we've discussed is this $50 fine limit in the Constitution. Sam, I told him on the phone, Sam Silvey, the photographer, listen, they can't get you for more than $50. That's the rule. $50 maximum limit, $50. It is in the Constitution. Of course, a dollar is a dollar is a dollar. Is that 50 lawful dollars in silver or 50 paper dollars that we have circulating today? The number is 800-8949. We don't have lawful coin and currency. And because we don't, we are facing a national disaster, a collapse in all the markets, and the debt markets will seize up again, just as they did in 2008. And it's going to be much worse. So I'm very optimistic. I mean, that's a disaster, right? It's a disaster, an unmitigated loss of capital buying power, denominated, of course, all that denominated in the paper buck. And if you're tied up in the paper buck in the national economy and not thinking lococentrically as I propose, you are going to be a loser. You are going to lose half of your net worth. And I have another person who listens to this show, and I've told that other person that he should be investing in local economy, divesting nationally, I suggest, and investing locally. Invest here in Chattanooga, invest in East Ridge, right? Invest in Hamilton County, in Saudi Daisy, in Ottawa, perhaps, maybe Red Bank. Well, no. We're going to wait on Red Bank. We're waiting on Red Bank. I'm not making recommendations about Red Bank at all right now. And just want you to know, by the way, to tune in at 10 o'clock Saturday morning to our great Got You Covered show. It's got you covered about your house and your repairs and your maintenance and your improvements and your investments in your house, hosted by Scott Schrader and a real legion of experts that we're going to discuss your home and all things pertaining to it: inspections, sales, preparing home for sale, looking for a house to buy, what to look for, all kinds of great tips. And that is here at 10 o'clock on Saturday. We've Got You Covered Radio, presented by Chattanooga Roofing Contractors. And my name is David Tulis, and the number is 800-8949. I'm not done, so I've got some things. I've got a lot still. But if you call me, we're going to lay everything aside and clear the desk. And I'll put my elbows on my desk here. And I'll just put my jaw in my hand and we'll start listening to what you have to say. I'm going to listen and listen and listen. 800-8949 is the number. David Tulis. And apparently, Amanda Coons is at night at the Chattanooga Rescue Mission. Just a tip.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
Bradley County deputies say a warrant to search Mark May's apartment was obtained after neighbors complained he was peeking through their windows and harassing them. The deputy sent to check out the scene said he smelled a strong chemical odor coming from his apartment. The search turned up a large number of chemicals used to manufacture fentanyl, a synthetic opiate multiple times more powerful than heroin. Mays was arrested. A drive-by left an Athens man shot in the hand. Athens police say Leopoldo Gonzalez was driving along when a car pulled up alongside him. The door opened and a man fired at him. The TBI is involved in the case. An unsanctioned counterfeit currency found in Dunlap. The Drug Task Force officers searching the home of Harley Roberts say they found methamphetamine and a counterfeit money operation. Some of that money has been used around town. If you think you were given some of the funny money, call the Dunlap PD. Val St. John for Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7. Action News now.
The Trail of Tears, an important part of American history, slowly fading away. But for 25 years, bikers across the nation, along with the Trail of Tears Memorial Association, have gathered together every September to ride and remember. Crockett Power Sports Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga is proud to be a part of this tradition. Join Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga Friday, September 14th for a pre-ride rally. Starting at 4, there's vendors, food, music, and a chance to gather in fellowship with your tribes. The Trail of Tears Memorial Ride starts Saturday the 15th, 7 a.m. at Reggie White Boulevard. Kickstands up at 9 a.m. sharp. Go to CrockettPowersports.com for route information, ride rules, safety tips, and all other information about the ride and its cause. Join the pre-ride rally at Crockett Power Sports Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga. Just look for the sign on 153 and Amnicola. Friday the 14th from 4 to 8. Grab your leather, gas your tanks. We ride, rain or shine, in honor of the true American originals.
Cash, 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 and more cash. Get 8.1% return on your money. Rick Davis can turn your cash into real money. Gold and silver bullion. American Eagle Gold. The banks give you a measly 1.9%. At Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, you'll get 8.1% return on your money. 8.1% return on your money. Wow! Whether you're buying an ounce or 100 ounces, Rick guarantees it. In writing. 8.1% Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. Raider Road, Chattanooga.
Man, you sure you know what you're doing?
Yeah, I worked with my dad on his truck all the time. Just one more bolt to go.
Yeah, wrong bolt. Today's truck ain't your daddy's truck. For repairs on today's vehicles, you need Amco Transmission and Total Car Care of Chattanooga on Lee Highway. Stay on the road, not in the garage. Amco Transmission on Lee Highway. Get it done the right way. The Thompson Pet way. Yeah, I just put that anywhere.
Let's face it, Old Faithful isn't as faithful as it used to be. Constant repairs are a hassle and can rack up quick and money and time. Landers McClarty Ford can fix that. Right now, you can get a 2016 Ford Focus, 34,000 miles, only $11,491. A 2017 Chevy Spark with only 17,000 miles for less than $12,000. A 2015 Volkswagen Jetta with less than 21,000 miles for $11,991. Yeah, browse their entire inventory of new and new-to-you cars, trucks, and SUVs online at Landers McClarty Ford of FortPayne.com. Landers McClarty Ford of Fort Payne. If you can't find your next perfect ride, they'll go find it for you. Big city selection, small town prices, friendly service, and top dollar for your trade. The savings are waiting and only a short drive away, so what are you waiting for? Get started with your personalized shopping today at Landers McClarty Ford of FortPayne.com. Your home is a constant work in progress. Repaint the walls? Yeah, easy enough. Leaky faucet? There's a video for that. But roof repair? You might want some help. That's where Chattanooga roofing contractors come in. They have 3 generations of roofing excellence you can count on. Leave the ladder in the garage. Go to chatroofing.com. That's chatroofing.com for Chattanooga roofing contractors, a roofing company you can trust.
Join We've Got You Covered with Scott Schrader every Saturday from 10 to 11 on Nuga Radio. From finance to fixtures, we discuss everything you need to know about buying or owning a home, the pitfalls, the perks, and everything in between. Saturday mornings, 10 to 11, right here on Nuga Radio.
Nuga Radio, Chattanooga weather.
Heating up out there for your afternoon with partly cloudy skies. A spotty shower or storm possible, but not many. Highs upper 80s. Tonight, a little muggier, lows closer to 70. For Thursday and Friday, some sunshine, hot. Only spotty afternoon showers and storms with highs each day around 90. Looking to buy or sell a home? Real Living Southern Realty provides real answers and customized marketing solutions. Serving the entire tri-state area, check rlsouthernrealty.com for more. And I'm Sourcine 12 Chief Meteorologist Pat Four.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
Now, the smartest guy with a bow tie in Chattanooga, Tennessee, David Tulis.
Residents of North Carolina are streaming away from the coast where a great storm is going to be hitting in the next day or two. They are facing shortages in the marketplace en route to places inland. And the reason they're facing shortages is because of a North Carolina code called 7538, which is intended to, quote, prohibit excessive pricing during states of disaster, states of emergency, or abnormal market disruptions. And it's a general statute in that state. And what it does is it guarantees shortages. And the reason it feels the need to guarantee shortages and empty shelves and empty underground storage tanks of ethanol-free and ethanol-laden gasoline is because the General Assembly of that state wanted to pretend that it was righteous and strong, moral, and good, and to protect people like you, let's just say you're a North Carolina resident, from the evil program of retailers and even wholesalers and manufacturers in what's called price gouging. Price gouging is a sin so great that we have to make sure that our law guarantees that all supplies will be stripped instantly when danger threatens. And that's what's happening for many people who can't find gas. And the market is disrupted by the guarantee that no one can make a profit coming to the aid of high and sudden and urgent need for things such as batteries for people who are hanging on, and not cardboard, but plywood and nails and equipment and foodstuffs that are useful in times of bad weather. Those are all gone. And the reason now along the highways that gasoline stations are empty and they may have just one tank or one pump working is because they can't raise the price to meet the conditions. And that is something that even Tennessee has fallen upon. It is a noble sword upon which it has thrust itself. to make sure that in times of disruptions that the marketplace won't function. The time when the market must function the best and the most efficiently is the time when the state, in its heroic virtue of protecting people's purses, guarantees that the purses will remain closed at every turn because there is no stock available. And now the statute is one that says, it starts off by saying, upon a triggering event, it is prohibited and shall be a violation of GS 75 1.1 for any person to sell or rent or offer to sell or rent any goods or services. It's so wordy here, which are consumed or used as a direct result of an emergency, or which are consumed or used to preserve, protect, or sustain life, health, safety, or economic well-being of persons or their property with the knowledge and intent to charge a price that is, now here's the key language, unreasonably excessive under the circumstances. So there seems to be an admission that circumstances may dictate that prices go up, but no, you can't be unreasonably excessive and avoid trouble. If you want to avoid trouble, somehow be under that word, unreasonably excessive. Don't go that far. Right? You're going to raise the prices to guarantee some supply, to guarantee some rationing, but don't go as far as that. Right? Unreasonably excessive. Again, that's a very vague rule to know when you are bumping up against the prohibition and when you are free of it. Right? That's laws have to be precise. They have to give notice, right? A law that's not precise does not give sufficient notice what is good and what is wicked. Okay. And here you have a statute that does that. So you have a disruption. So, and people they know about the law, but they don't know exactly what to do. They don't know how high they can raise something. Where's the margin that I must approach and up to which I must go, but not go further, right? If, let's say, I'm raising the price of bread, or I'm raising the price of gasoline from $3.75 a gallon. Okay, we've got sudden demand going up. I can raise it to $4.10 a gallon, but not more. But somehow you don't know where that level is. And so the fear, what a law like this does, it puts fear in the heart of the entrepreneur who has a stock, who has a business, and who wants to serve as many people as he can. But let me just ask you, why should prices rise dramatically in a storm? And why should they? It's 800-8949, 800-8949. Put your 2 cents worth in, and maybe we can come to an understanding. But in my defense of the marketplace and defense of individual human beings, and then individuals acting rationally in concert is a marketplace, right? All the people together determining what the price of something is. That is the best guarantor of both price and availability. Because whenever you have rationing, whenever you say something can be sold only at this low price, in the protection of the poor, right? Perhaps you are preventing something from happening. What is the thing you're preventing? Is my questioning. What does the statute prevent from happening? Well, okay, prevents prices from going up, but then what does it prevent? Okay, that if prices of gasoline or let's say kerosene, let's say you got kerosene for someone who's staying. Okay, someone's gonna buy kerosene, who's gonna stay, is gonna want some heat in the 2 weeks after the flooding period where there's cleanup. You want to have energy and heat, so you've got gasoline for that, or kerosene for a heater or stove. Okay, so let's say kerosene's going for $3 a gallon last week. What should be the price now for someone who's staying behind, let's say 2 miles inland? They'll be maybe out of the reach of the storm surge, and they're okay, but they're planning on staying. They're facing 130-mile-an-hour winds and dreadful circumstances, but they are not going to leave. Well, what the secondary problem of such a law is that you guarantee that there cannot be rationing. Prices need to go up from $3 a gallon to $6 a gallon today. Why? Well, that allows for a rationing process to take place. If I come in and I've got money in my pocket and I can buy this kerosene at $3 a gallon, I don't need more than 5 gallons, but I'm going to buy 10 just
just in case, right? Just in case. So I'm going to buy more than I need, and I'm going to overstock myself. If I had to pay 10, I'd probably just buy maybe 5 or 6 gallons, maybe. That's I've got a limited budget for really everything in that too. So if there's an emergency coming and I have to make a decision on what to buy, I'll buy what I can afford. But I do want to have it. I do want it to be there. I do want that kerosene. I do want those batteries. I do want that plywood, and the chainsaw or the drill, the equipment, the power to run my equipment prior to departing. All these things, and the gasoline. The main thing would be perhaps the gasoline. All those cars, interstate highways routed so that both lanes, both sides of the avenue are going north and northwest, right, away from the ocean. Where are all these cars going to be filled? If gasoline has to be sold at a low price, then people will buy more than they need. Of course, if you're buying gasoline and you're fleeing, you're going to fill the tank regardless of the price. You're not price conscious. But price does make people conscious of how much they can take in. And if prices of crackers, if there's a shortage of crackers pending and you raise the price, well, you're going to get the sales to people who really need those crackers or those batteries. That's what pricing does. Pricing lets people self-select as to what they can afford, what they really need. If it's cheap, well, people will buy just in case, and so you'll suddenly run out of your supplies. Your shelves, as in Venezuela, under the fair winds of socialism, are always empty. And well, this is David Tulis, and the number is 800-894-9. And I wanted to get also to say just a word about Noah McLemore. There's a story about Noah McLemore at our chief sponsor, the blog run by the blogger with the biggest pen. That's me. That's Nuganomics.com. Now, the story is that he was confronted by a police officer, a Chattanooga police officer, without probable cause, and she subjected him to a Terry pat-down, which is a pat-down not in search of incriminating material, though it's often converted into an illegal search by permission. But a Terry pat-down is a search for someone for weapons, and that's primarily for the sake of the safety of the officer. So this man is standing in front of his shop smoking a cigarette, as you can read at Nuganomics. And this woman police officer, creeps up from the side with her gun drawn. Okay, her gun is drawn, and here's this man who happens to be black, who happens to be wearing a wife beater T-shirt, very white one, and smoking a cigarette. Maybe all three of them are equally evil in the eyes of Chattanooga police. But that's who he was, and he is suddenly confronted, and it is demanded of him that he identify himself and provide identification for this officer. But before she does that, she is wanting to secure her own safety. Okay, right? This is always, officers are very courageous, and they will humiliate black men to make sure that they are always safe. Do me a favor and put your hands up on the glass. For what? He says. Sorry? For what? So I can just pat you down. She says, this is my business, he's explaining to her. I just explained to you that this is my business. You won't let me go in there. My business license is right there on the wall. She says, okay, I understand that. But listen, I'm just asking you if you could put your hands on the glass so that I can pat you down. I'm saying, why do you want to pat me down? He says, because I just don't know you, she says. Okay, so because she doesn't know him, though she has come onto his property in her cruiser, she doesn't know him, and so she's going to pat him down. He says, once again, Chattanooga, and here he's talking to the camera. He's talking to you, as it were. I'm about to sue the city, he says, and I'm tired of this. She wants to pat me down, and I don't know for what. This is my business. I'm at my place of business. She wants to pat me down. And then she says, can you do me a favor and bring your feet back towards me? Thank you. Have you anything on you that is going to poke me or stick me? No, ma'am. All right, she says. You can stand up. All right. Can you walk back towards my car for me? And I'm going to get your information for me, okay? This is a transcript of the Facebook video. You can see it on Nuga Radio, by the way. Nuga Radio on FB, the great censor. I often don't escape the censorship of Facebook. I want you to know that. FB finds my work offensive somehow, and I'm not qualified to offer anything that is of a political nature or of a national interest. It will not let me boost anything, the great censor, that is of political interest or national interest. Now, Noah McLemore, yesterday when I did a Facebook Live interview with him, granted me a couple of minutes on the camera there. You can see it at Facebook, at Nuga Radio. And then he was so caught in the emotion of rethinking through his abuse at the hands of this officer, the peremptory dealings that she had with him, as if he were chattel. You know, chattel is slave property. That's what this officer viewed this man who had done nothing wrong, had committed no crime. She had no sworn statement that he had committed a crime. She did not see him commit a crime. She had no report that he had done anything amiss, violation of any common law or any statutory law. And yet, she didn't know who he was. And so she was going to pat him down. This is a grievance. I'm not sure it's a crime. I'd say it's a violation of the oppression statute, but I read that perhaps too broadly than I should. But it is, at the very minimum, it is a breach of respect for the public. It is a breach of that rule in the ethics manual. She says, so here's the deal. Okay. Now she's going to explain what it's all about. Okay. Just listen. I get a call that they believe people are in the building that are not supposed to be there. Okay. That was the call that we got. So I come out here to check it out. All right. I don't know who you are. I don't know if you own that business. I don't know if you do or don't. My business is licensed, he says, is displayed on the wall, ma'am, where it's supposed to be. I saw that. I did not know that to begin with. He says, you never let me prove myself. She says, when I ask you for your ID, you're being very hostile towards me about giving me any information about why I was talking to you and everything else. That's her quote. What kind of quote is that? This person is incompetent. This person is just incompetent and does not belong on the Chief David Roddy task police force. And should not be serving Mayor Andy Burke, because this is a reflection on Mayor Andy Burke. You know why I'm upset with City Council? The City Council is not taking bribes. Okay, let's make that assertion that its members are not taking bribes. But what they are taking is the marketing of, you might say, the marketing of complacency. They believe sort of their own procedure. They believe their role is important and serious and grave, right? There's gravitas in these meetings. There's no debate in these meetings. There's no discussion. There's no loudness in these meetings. These people are acting more like administrators than representatives. They're not representing the people and not picking up on these stories like this. My platform, my press platform, here, David Tulis, 92.7 Nuga Radio, and also Nuganomics.com. That's the one that they all should subscribe to. I can't subscribe for them. They need to say, what does David Tulis have to offer me? And they should, when they read the story, they should be shocked. They should not have to wait for Noah McLemore to make an appearance and tell them what happened. They should already know when they see his black face there behind the microphone, a very black face indeed. Even the black members, even the African-American members of City Council, they should say, we know why he's here. Let's see if he sheds a tear this time, as he did with David Tulis on Tuesday. They should be concerned about these things because these reflect ill on Chattanooga. This is a businessman. And I'm going to be asking the Chamber of Commerce about this kind of treatment. Is this good for Chattanooga? Do small entrepreneurs who clearly are in a low capital business, do they deserve this kind of treatment? A summary search, a summary presumption that fails good sense. It fails reform perspective. The reform perspective says use time, cover, and space to defuse, demilitarize, and de-escalate. This officer came into this encounter with 4 cops. 4 cops came to this shop, Footworks, on Highway 58. 4 police cars. One of them came with his siren on, if you believe that. I mean, do you believe that? It's on the Facebook video. Now, this is David Tulis, and I want you to do likewise. Go and do likewise. Any encounter with the cops, any encounter with any official, you, my listener, make a record. We all have smartphones. Why are we so slow getting going? Let's get going. Everybody, make a record. Now, I'm not talking to a lot of people here. I'm talking about just you. You, my listener, make a record, okay? You report and the world decides. So that's what I believe in. I believe that as the media function decentralizes, we are all involved in the media, okay? We're all members of the media. There's not any high rollers anymore, right? I'm no better than you. I would hope no less than you. You may have an Apple, I may have a Samsung, but so maybe in that sense you are better than me. But we all are involved in publishing. So let's publish together, and let me help you. Let me, David Tulis, help you. Just call me, contact me, and I'll get your story. I want your story. I want there to be reforms. There are major things that need reformation. Title 55 is just one of them. And we are not going to have time to hear my interview this morning with Marc Gravitt on your behalf. And he said, well, I record property. I record records of ownership. I said, well, yes, Mark, I'm here representing my listener, and my listener owns the streets of this city. And I'm here to redress my listener's grievance, and the grievance being that the streets are policed as if they were owned by the corporation of Chattanooga and the state. No, they're owned by the people. And my listener and my reader have a right to be there. As I told Marc Gravitt, the new register of deeds on his 8th day of office this morning in his office on the 4th floor of the Old County Courthouse. I was there on your behalf trying to get my administrative notice to be put into the public record. It hadn't been done yet, and I'm holding up my copy of it here, showing the notary's blue stamp on my Facebook page, and also on YouTube. You can see the blue stamp on my page. My goal is to have the boundary put back in its proper place. There has been a moving of the boundary, which, if you remember Psalms, if you remember perhaps Deuteronomy and Leviticus, boundaries cannot be moved. And there's been a boundary moved against you, my listener, and against all the members of the public. And those particularly aggrieved who can't deal with the expense and the hassle and the trouble of this boundary movement are, guess whom? The poor, the African-American, the immigrant, the widow, and the orphan. And those are categories that the Bible would say are strangers and aliens. So we have, read the Bible and you'll see repeatedly that those categories of people are those that deserve special protection. Okay, we're not going to protect anymore the lawyer class and people like me. Those we have to look out for first. And then you and I, we white people, we will have the liberties that we've lost under our Constitution. David Tulis.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
Bradley County deputies say a warrant to search Mark May's apartment was obtained after neighbors complained he was peeking through their windows and harassing them. The deputy sent to check out the scene said he smelled a strong chemical odor coming from his apartment. The search turned up a large number of chemicals